Okay, so I just want to mention something really quick. This is my first time recording a video with like a script. So if you see me like peer to the side or not really focus on the camera too much, that is why. Because I feel like this topic is too, I'm not like it's too serious for me to free ball like I usually do every single one of my other commentary style videos. This is the first one that I do have a loose script on. I just wanted to make that clear now. Anyways, so from here on out, 90% of the stuff will be read through a script. Okay. Before I actually get started with my main talking points, I just wanted to say that most of the evidence that has come out against Kris Tyson, to be quite frank, I don't know what they go by anymore because I've seen people call them Kris Tyson. I've seen people call them Tyson. I don't know. I don't want to get into that muddy mess, I'm going to be honest. But most of the evidence is Twitter screenshots. So some of them. So those could be fake, but I highly doubt it. I just guess I have to make that clear. It could somehow, I don't think it is at this point, but that's besides the point. As Tyson is an absolutely nasty person. Like, it shouldn't, the point that some of it could be fake, it shouldn't even matter because of the other things they have done. Like, that shouldn't excuse it in the slightest. But the scary thing, before I get into the main focal points about the Kris Tyson situation, is the amount of people talking about it. I'm not saying that in a good way. There's a very little amount of people who talk about it. But when it was with Dr. Disrespect, they were really quick to like jump on the bandwagon, like, oh yeah, let's cancel this person, let's get him gone, you know, this is good for the content creation sphere. But when it's someone like Kris Tyson, who's very well known and has some leverage compared to other people, the talking isn't as like out there. And I don't want to point any like accusations. I don't want to say, oh, it's because they're part of the LGBTQ community or they're friends with Mr.Beast, so they have leverage. It's none of that. I just wanted to point out how that's kind of interesting, how people were so quick to jump on the Dr. Diddy Respect bandwagon, but not Kris Tyson. But most of the main talking points have been from a channel called Prism 42. I will be, hopefully, if I remember to, link most channels that, because I'm not going to go into a deep dive, because this isn't a topic I usually talk about. I'm usually more like either gaming videos or more like lighthearted shit. I don't usually talk about stuff of this magnitude. So there won't be any like edits, clips, anything. I'll leave down the link if you're interested in seeing those type of clips. I do have one Twitter quote that I'm going to read later down the line though. My apologies. And it just kind of like snowballed from there. Ever since the initial video dropped, there's just been more and more evidence that has been compiled against Tyson. Again, I still don't know what he goes by. Like, now, Moist Critical says, I name drop Moist Critical because he's the only person as of now I've seen that has talked about the information. Moist Critical states that the victim, who was also a winner of the Mr.Beast challenge on his gaming channel, was about 13 or 14 years old, who Tyson grew a close bond with. I don't know how that happened in the first place. I don't know if it was done in secrecy, like none of the Mr.Beast crew members knew about it, but that is kind of weird how Tyson was able to grow such a close bond with a 13 and 14-year-old. It also wouldn't make sense how they were able to get into contact with that 13 or 14-year-old. Anyways, Moist Critical states that the alleged victim had come out, there's a statement, and they said that they don't feel harassed, groomed in any sort of way. But as Moist Critical says in this video, and what I agree on, is that I don't think you can really gauge how much like bad stuff they initially tried to do as you're so young. Like I said, 13, 14, Kris would be 21 to 25 around that time. You can't really gauge at a young age because it's so normal to you, if that makes any sense. Like, keep in mind how long they would have been talking to. So it's normalcy at that point, which doesn't exclude it at all. That's not evidence backing up Kris Tyson saying, oh, you can't blame him. The kid didn't feel groomed. You can't use the kid as evidence. Like, you can't send a kid a picture, a Snapchat of you saying coming for America. I don't care if that's dark humor or not. You just, as an adult, as a legal adult, you just can't send stuff like that to a fresh teenager. That's just despicable. That's disgusting. That's something you shouldn't do in the slightest. And I feel like that should be common sense, no? But there's some people who are genuinely trying to back Kris Tyson, saying, oh, it's just dark humor. Oh, it was just the times. Like, in no times are you, an adult, going to send a literal child any joke about coming? Who's gonna do that? That's crazy. That should be insane. Even more foul is all the Twitter screenshots of Tyson publicly talking to a weirdo, an absolute creep, known as Shadman. Now, if you're on the internet for a long time, that should ring a couple doorbells, kind of make you have an episode, because Shadman is someone who he's an artist. He's not a good artist, but he's an artist who draws fictional woman in NSFW settings. Now, these fictional women are known as lollies. Now, hey, name me it. Before you start your hate train, being like, oh, but lollies, you don't know the real meaning behind a lolly, this and that. The only people who back this argument up is like 40 to 60-year-old men who are 400 pounds obese on their deathbed already, typing on a keyboard, saying, oh, well, actually, they're a serpent, right? They're a serpent who is actually 400 years old, trapped in a 7.5-year-old's body. So you can't actually call that a lolly, and you're making it weird, actually. Which is, no, that's crazy. That's crazy in itself. But not only that, Shadman has drawn real people before. Shadman had drawn Keemstar's daughter, who was 8 years old, doing weird stuff to Donald Trump, right? That's horrible. That's weird. And Kris Tyson openly had a relationship with this guy. Now, Shadman isn't some Disney level villain. He's not some new Phineas and Ferb arc. Okay, he's actually like deranged in the head. He's like, he's got some screws loose. He got a cheese brain. Okay, it gets worse. Okay, it gets physically worse, to where the relationship we knew was at least strong enough for Tyson to buy or commission artwork from Shadman, who's known to draw underage lolly, under 18 women in provocative settings. So Kris Tyson, a member of Mr.Beast back in like 2015, at least commissioned or had bought a piece. And now you're probably thinking, because I'm not giving any like clips or anything, that how do we know for a fact that this was Kris Tyson who had given out who had paid for it? Well, in an old Mr.Beast video a long time ago, there is a frame where you can see the picture hung up on the living room wall when Mr.Beast and Kris were roommates. They had a photo on the wall like it was some award to show to the public. Like, yeah, look at my sick picture of a minor. Like, look at this painting of a minor. Like, hello? And the fact that they had that just up is quite despicable in itself. That's kind of crazy. But that's besides the point. And if we didn't need any more admission of guilt, okay, if we didn't need any more confirmation that Kris Tyson did it, or Ava Tyson, if we didn't need any more confirmation that of an admission of guilt, if you will, Kris Tyson had this to say on Twitter. I would like to apologize for any of my past behaviors or comments. If it hurt or offended anyone, it was not my intent. Seeing recent events, we mutually decided it is best if I permanently step away from all things Mr.Beast and social media to focus on my family and mental health. Now, if that isn't an admission of guilt, I don't know what is. But there's one thing wrong with that tweet, because that is a direct tweet I quoted from Kris Tyson. There is no denial. There's nothing of Tyson saying, yeah, this was wrong, I did it, so that's why me and the Mr.Beast team have decided to mutually part ways, whatever they said. There's just no admission of guilt. They just said, oh, things I said, things I did, it was funny internet humor. No mention of Shadman at all in that tweet. Just saying, oh, I think it's best for me to step down from my mental health of past things that are out. Basically, he's, whoa, I said he on accident. Don't fireball me. My bad. They don't cancel me. Don't cancel me. They left little breadcrumbs saying like, yeah, I might be talking about the Shadman thing potentially, but I'm not gonna openly say it because that's a full admission of guilt. I'm not gonna call myself out, even though we all know and I know what I did. But there's just no denying that that's the main point behind that tweet. It's disgusting and complete degeneracy what Kris Tyson did. And I'm not one for cancel culture. I don't like going, like, setting up the pitchforks and like, yeah, get them gone. But I'm glad that Kris Tyson has been removed from the Mr.Beast, like, group, campaign, whatever you want to call it. Because as they was such a prominent figure and literally went to the Kids' Choice Awards talking to minors, little kids in this aspect, commissioning artwork of kids who looked no older than 15. The girl literally looked no older than 15 and he was well in his 20s at that point. There's just no way that this generation, knowing how many eyes are on Mr.Beast, should have that as one of their leading role models. That's it, basically. Like I said, this was my probably first and potentially last video with a script. This was just too serious not to have one. Yeah.